Just look at this, right? Okay. Does everyone have it? Everyone have it? Maybe? Yes, that's it. Everyone got it? Okay. Not yet? You did? Who still doesn't have it? Come on, Peter, what do you do? Oh, it's always good here. Okay. Alright, if you don't have it, maybe take the code from one of your friends next. Okay, so, oh wow, you guys are very quick. Alright. Yeah, you guys can read the question, I guess. So think of one word, the first word that comes to your mind, the second you hear the word persecution. So the more people that write the same word, the more, the bigger it gets. Please keep it appropriate, okay? You guys are doing great so far. I believe. Nice. Oh, I love the 21. That's good. Is everyone done? Wow. Wow. That's the most one that got points. I like it. Okay. False. Dying. Wrong. End. Wow. You guys are very dark. That's for sure. Okay, is everyone done? Alright. Thank you guys for doing that. I think we really need to stop. That's for sure. Okay. Can someone take a picture of this and look off the stage? I would like to keep your answers at some. Okay. So when the word persecution comes in front of our way, the problem is sometimes all we can think of is, okay, Egypt, 21 martyrs, discrimination, big words like you guys wrote, suffering, martyrdom, and then like Deacon was saying, now we come here and that doesn't exist. So what does it mean persecution? So what I want us to do before we even get to the idea of persecution, I want us to think about our personal connection or our personal experience with the idea of persecution. So I'm going to ask you, or I'm going to put some scenarios in front of you, and maybe, hopefully, I'm praying that it will come some ideas or some things that we can understand what persecution is in our day-to-day life. Because I knew this was going to happen, I want us to think a little bit further. So, I think it's the same survey, so I want you guys, okay, before I get there, sorry. Some of us might not agree that it's a persecution, and that's okay. Maybe some of them are not. But the idea about it is that we're trying to get some. So answer to your best ability. I'm not saying that there is one right answer. I'm not going to tell you which answer is the right answer. But I believe every situation has a different answer. But I want you guys to think about it. And I don't want you guys to answer me with the Sunday school answers. I'll elaborate what I mean. What I mean by that is that sometimes I can say the right answer is this. But in reality, when I'm in this situation, that's not what I do. So I want you guys to write what you, as Peter, as Uncle Moore, as George, as any of you, what would you do in that situation? It's anonymous, I'm not going to know who wrote what, so be very honest, okay? So I'll give you guys a head start. Go ahead. So the question, the professor says, Christian, during the lecture, what do you do? Cool. Okay. Can you guys be a little bit quicker because we have a few questions and we wanna start. Okay, I'll move on. Okay, very nice. So the most one that got is say nothing but feel conflicted. Okay. Okay, the next question. So your closest friends ask you to support something that goes against your Christian values. If you say no, it will cost you the friendship. What do you do? By the way, these questions, I pretty much, a lot of them, I got them from experience from people, not just random. So some people go through this. So gently explain your belief and say no. Don't copy from other people, okay? I feel that there's always that one that goes really quick. We fill it up. Okay. So the answer is gently explain your belief and say no. Okay, next. You're invited to present at a major event, but are asked not to mention anything religious. What is your decision? It's a school event, like something that's not church related, something outside, either work or school or whatever it is. Accept and avoid religious references. Again, there is no right answer and there is no wrong answer. I just want to see where our mentality goes, because hopefully by the end of today's lecture, maybe we can try to redirect some of the mentality that we have with these things. Do you have anything? No. Okay, move on. You got a high-paying job, but the company promotes values that contradict your Christian beliefs. I think a lot of us got close to that, right? Maybe? Again, I'm not telling you what is the right answer. I'm telling you if you are actually in that situation, which a lot of us can be, what would you do? Okay, good. Move on. Oh, what was the answer for them? Consult a mentor and pray first. Very nice. Okay. A friend from another religion invites you to attend their service, whether it's a liturgy or whether it's a wedding or whatever it is, and you know your faith conflict with their belief. What would you do? This is not a group assignment. This is an individual question. Answer individual. Okay. So the answer was decline kindly and explain your reasons. Minutes. Or that's what the majority said. Okay. I think this is the last one. Your faith group on campus is labeled hateful by a student newspaper. You're asked to give a public response. What is your decision? Or the other kind of a question with the same thing is that your group in university or your religion has been, what's the word? Yes. What would you do? Okay. All right, very nice. Okay. Write it down, respectfully. Okay, thank you guys, good job, well done, well done. Okay. I really hope that sort of brought some ideas into our minds about the idea of persecution in our life. Because like I said, sometimes we don't fully understand what it means to have persecution in life, and sometimes we only think that persecution means martyrdom, like the first point that came. So what I want you guys to do in a minute, please, 1 minute, because yeah, we're running a way later than I thought. So in 1 minute, I want you guys on your phone or on a piece of paper, which would be much better. I want you to write a situation that you personally feel you have been persecuted one way or another. And I want you, after you write that, or if you don't want to write it, so don't worry, you can think about it. I do whatever you want. But I want to think of that situation that you feel you were persecuted. And I'm sure each one of us, throughout however old you guys are, you might have had one or two situations. So write one, and I want you to write, how did you deal with it? Or think about that. I'll give you guys 1 minute and then we can sort of start the topic half an hour later. Okay, does everyone have it? Yes? Anyone need more time? Good? More time? Yes. Yes. I'll give you guys 30 seconds. But guys, this is a personal situation. Okay? Personal situation. I don't know how you guys are talking. Like, it's not very personal if you're talking to the people next to you. Right, Katrina? Alright. Good? Alright. Okay. So before we get a head start, one of the parts of the topic that we're supposed to talk about is sort of the history of persecution in the church in general. And we have to understand that persecution in our church has been going on from the very, very first second Christianity started. Okay? And Stanley says, Christianity was the world's most feared idea. It couldn't be broken, unstoppable, cannot be destroyed, and cannot be silenced. Do you understand? So the idea about Christianity is scary for some people. Okay? So to do a little bit of a history, because I was asked to do a little bit of a history, I'm going to get you guys to help me because I know you guys know all this. So I decided you guys will help me. Please raise your hand or speak it out loud and let me know. First to fourth century, what would be sort of persecution that happened in that era? Stephanos. What else? Martyrs. Very nice. Nero and Diocletian. Yes. What else? Anything else? Roman Empire. Love it. What else? The Jews. Yes. What else? Yes, at the very end of it, yes. Actually, even in the middle of it, yes, absolutely. But the majority or the big umbrella is what Roman Empire, Jews, and all that, right? Okay. So, what about the 4th to the 7th century? Yes. Sorry? Perfect. Okay, councils. So, what is a council? Tell me a little bit more. Good. So heresies. Very nice. Heresies. What else? Yes. Also the coming of the. Yes. That's true. Yes. What else? Tell me. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. You guys are jumping like you're coming to the very end. But if I'm talking about the core about it, is like you guys exactly said. Heresy is conflict between Christians and persecution, even within Christians. Okay, perfect. 7th to 16th century. What happened there? Crusades, yes. What else? Raise your hand, guys. Yes. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Protestant Reformation later. Yes. What else? I heard it. Okay. All right. So Islamic comes a little bit later. So persecutors and so on, and the Islamic conquest and so on. Okay. Oops. All right. Sorry. What about 16th to 18th century? Wow, look at you guys. I'm so impressed. It's like I didn't show it to you. What else? Sorry? Anyone? Tell me. Sorry? The War of Independence, okay? Okay. And there was religious wars and so on. Okay. 19th century to today. Last one. Tell me. Tell me. Very nice. Good job. What else? Sorry? Armenian genocide. Yes. What else? Huh. So Islamic states. Yes. What else? Huh. Sorry? I like that. Okay. Huh. What else? Tell me. Guys, can we please? So we can hear each other, okay? Very nice. Good job. Okay. What else? Humans. Did someone say humans? Oh, humanism. Like, humans. Yes, that's a kind of persecution. What else? Anything else? Okay. Pretty much everything that you guys talked about. Right. Good job. So, we see. Sorry. Alright. Okay. So I have to understand that persecution has been a part of the church from the very, very, very beginning, to the point that one of a website for a group called Open Doors, they say that over 380 million Christians are persecuted one way or another. And this is the reality of what Christianity is. So I'm going to give you a heads up here as we get to the idea of persecution. If you think I'm here to tell you how to get away from persecution, you have the wrong mentality. Because I'm actually here to tell you the other way around. And I'm going to explain what I mean. They said in Open Door, persecution is not always dramatic, it's subtle, systemic, and social. But it's still real. So, have you guys heard about this guy? Did anyone hear about this guy? Raise your hand. No one? Okay. That's okay. That's what we're gonna. But did anyone hear about a book called The Heavenly Person? Did anyone hear about it? Very nice. I highly recommend reading. No one? Not all? Okay. So whatever. If I say something wrong about the book, I'm okay. All right. So there was a guy called Brother Jan, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, but I think it is pronounced Jan. So Brother Jan was actually living in China. So does anyone know Christianity in China? How does it look? Underground. What else? Huh? Legal? Oh, illegal. Yes. Okay. Huh? What else? Anything else? Yes. Sorry? Yes. Sneak pages and actually memorize it, which is a beautiful thing. I wish we had that. But so the idea about it is because they can't have the Bible, so sometimes they read it, and that's exactly what Brother Young did. One of the things that they say about him is that he memorized the Gospel of St. John, the whole thing. So I'll tell you a little bit of a story about what happened. So Brother Young, when he was younger, he was about 16 years old. His family had a miraculous healing of his dad. His dad had like some sort of lung cancer or something. And then what happened was his mother was praying, and then he got healed. So what happened was, when that happened, he started fasting and praying for 100 days until the book says that he had a vision. After that vision, he started that journey in China, and as we know, that this journey, being a preacher, being someone who talks about the faith in China, usually what happens, it doesn't end too well. And that's exactly what happened to him. He was very bold with what he did, and he went to the point that they took him, they tortured him, they imprisoned him, they did all kinds of things that you can think of. To the point that he would read his story and he would say, it's so hard, I wish he would just get martyred and get it over with. From how long and how tough his life was. At some point, he actually, he's still alive, I believe, until today. And apparently, something I learned recently is that back in 2023, he was in Red Deer. Who Red Deer? Anyone Red Deer? No, not? Okay. So, he came and gave us something. But anyways, yeah, okay, someone from Red Deer in the back, we have a question. Ah. So, something that he said in his book, you know how we're saying, like, to the point, like, I hope he gets martyred? Something that he said, he was saying, I wish that every Christian would see and live the same things that I have lived. So when we start feeling bad for someone like him and everything that happened to him, on the other side, he actually sees it the opposite. Because through the persecution and through everything that he went through, he was able to see the grace of God in everything that happened to him. So let's okay. It's what do you think of that statement? Persecution is a gift. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you want to add more? Do you want to tell me more? I don't agree. Please, I'd love to hear some thoughts. Huh. Wow, we're either very asleep or you guys are shut up. Okay, I love that. Yes, okay. Very nice. Okay, really. Okay. Okay, I love that. Anything else? Yes. Very nice. Done. Okay. I agree with yes, we'll take one more. No, sure. Do you agree or disagree? Do you agree? That is good. I love it, yes. So, another word, I actually agree with everything that you guys just said. But another word also that I would add next to it is an opportunity. Would you guys agree? Maybe? Okay. An opportunity that comes with a choice as well. Okay? A lot of times, an opportunity comes with a choice. I'll give you a situation. I have someone who I have had at work, and I've been thinking about talking to him, or at school, that I'm thinking about talking to him about the faith. Do we all have that sort of experience? But all of a sudden, I see him, maybe I was about to talk to him, instead of coming one step forward, he took a step backward. So I'm like, oh, it's a sign from God. I should not talk to him right now. It is not the time for it, and God has sent me a message. Maybe sometimes that's right. But in reality, most of the time, I give myself an excuse. I give myself an excuse telling myself, oh, this is not the right time, or this is not the right person, or this is not the right way. And I'm gonna have to put a plan for myself. A whole plan, how to evangelize, how to tell this person about this. But in reality, what happens is what drags and it goes on, and does anything happen? Nothing happens. So sometimes we start giving ourselves excuses because we're afraid, we are afraid to take this step, to be bold and to go and to start taking the step of even knowing that there will be persecution, going and knowing that this is our call in this world. In Acts 18:9, yeah, it's right here, says what? Now the Lord spoke to Paul in the night by a vision, do not be afraid, but speak and do not be silent, and do not keep silent. For I am with you, and no one will attack you to hurt you, for I have many people in the city. So Christ is telling us that each and every one of us was called for this call. Was called to go in and to talk about God and to take the opportunity. So all the questions in the survey that we did at the very beginning, there are ways to prep us to know that no matter what happens, it's my calling to go and preach the word of God. So, let's talk. And I'll tell you another example, okay? So the idea about, before we get to this, the idea about those opportunities that God gives us, not about persecution, but about sharing the word of God, sharing the good news. Sometimes we become like a tool because we are a tool in God's hand. I'll give you an example that personally happened with me. One time I had a problem with my Apple Watch, so I was going and went to like the Apple store to get it fixed. And I don't know if it's the same thing everywhere you get it from, but Apple store there's at least like 300 people working in there all the time. At least that's in Edmonton. I don't know if it's the same case. So I went in and there was like literally so many people working. And I'm walking and I look at the first person in front of me. Out of all of them, a bunch of them were free. So I went to the first person that my eyes went to. And I started talking to him. I told him, okay, my watch figured out after kind of stuff, maybe that. And then as I was talking and telling him all that, he asked me. So that was like a month after I got ordained. So for me, all of this was new. Like I didn't know how to deal with all this. So I went in and he asked me a question. He's like, "Are you an Orthodox priest?" I'm like, "Actually, yes. I'm glad you know." Like, other times someone came and told me I was in the airport. Very first day I went to the airport, I shared this with some of you. First day I went to the airport once, someone looked at me and like, "Nice costume." I'm like, "Thanks." I just had a Halloween party. So that time when he knew who I was very impressed. In Canada, it's not really very famous. So I went and I'm like, "Yeah, actually, yes, good knowledge, yes." See? You guys don't have it. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so he came and he told me that it's actually been more than a decade that he did not enter a church. And he was from a sister church to our church. And he told me at that point, I have been, for the past few months, I've been looking for a sign or something that tells me it's time to start going to church. And at that point, I did not say a word. I did not find this. I did not go to Apple Store knowing that this person, I'm going to go to him and I'm going to talk to him. God used an opportunity and used me to get that person, to get that message, to come to the church. And this is what God does with each and every one of us. I don't have to be wearing the black to do that. But my actions, my ways, my words are an opportunity. It is like the black that I'm wearing. Because it's an opportunity for me to share the word. So, we're going to talk a little bit about practical points. I'll see how much I can get to it. I have until 8:45, so I have 15 more minutes. I have 5 points. If we go through them, good. If not, we'll take 3 points instead and forget that I said 5 points. There are only 3 points. Okay? So, the first thing I have to understand and to know is that, like I said at the beginning, if you think I'm going to come right now and tell you how to be ready for persecution, how to do all that, no, that's not what I'm here for. So, let's get to the first point. The first point is you need to expect persecution. You don't go into, imagine you have a pop quiz right now. I tell you have a pop quiz, I'm going to mark. You're not going to be ready, you're going to stress out, so you're not going to do well, right? But the idea about expecting persecution is that I'm going into the persecution knowing that there will be persecution. Okay? Because a lot of times, as soon as we go into persecution, and as soon as something like that happens, what do? I start blaming. I start finding excuses to get away from it. I start doing all these things that takes me away from the main purpose, which is what that verse right there, 1 Peter 4:12. What does it say? Beloved, do not think it strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you as though some strange thing happened to you. But rejoice to the extent that you partake Christ's suffering, that when his glory is revealed, you may also be glad with exceeding joy. Remember that word joy? Who's talking to us so much about the word joy? What's in it, right? The idea of persecution and the idea of joy. Next point, which is we should not be scared. Because something that we see is that the very first second that Christ came to the world, okay, actually before I say it, what was the first point of persecution in Christianity? Or well, there was persecution all the time. Tell me. Exactly. From the second, even before Christ was born, persecution had happened. Right? So persecution is expected, and you should not be afraid. I'm going to ask you a question. I'll be very impressed if anyone knows who this is. Maybe. Raise your hand if you know. Huh? Good job. Look at you guys. I'm very impressed. Okay. Do you know his story? I do have to give credit to ChatGPT because I was very impressed with how they prepared this thing. I didn't draw this. I'm not a very good, but they did a good job with this. Okay, they got it pretty accurate. So who knows? Since you told me the name, anyone knows the story? Yes. Huh? Anyone knows the story? George, tell me. Guys, can we listen? Can I give you? Is there a mic to move around so people can hear? There was a mic somewhere. Until someone finds the mic. Okay. That was the story. You got the mic at where he was eaten by lions. Good job.
It was devoured fully by lions, where it was famously said that like not even a little bit of him was left.
Did anyone hear any, just a fun fact, does anyone hear anything interesting about this saint in the Bible? It's a tradition, it's a church tradition. Yes. Yes, good job, yes. So he was a little boy. When we read in Matthew 18, when it says, surely I say to you that unless you are converted, become like little children, they say that this saint was actually that little children. Anyway, but this is just a fun fact that some of the church traditions have. So, this is the idea of not being afraid. He was very old. He went in knowing that this will happen to him, but he was not afraid. The same idea comes to the 21 martyrs, which was Abuna and Deacon talked about them. And we just had a mission trip and we went and saw the 21 martyrs. And it was a beautiful experience for the people that went with us. The thing about the 21 martyrs is that because they were not afraid, a lot has happened. And Deacon was saying, or Abuna was saying that the best thing that they did was do what? Take a video of it, right? To have the moment of the persecution. And in our church, we had, like I remember, maybe even some of them were here, okay? So we had sort of a meeting with the youth, with some of the catechumens or the people that joined the faith recently, okay? And they all shared sort of their experience with how they knew the faith, or how they knew the Coptic Church. And I was very surprised to hear that a lot of them, when we asked them, what was the thing that brought you to the Coptic Church? You guys know what they said? The 21 martyrs. So we see that even though they were trying to disgrace us because of what they did, but in reality, it was an opportunity, and thousands of people learned about the faith and came to the faith. And this is the beauty of our church, is that the more they kill, the more that joins our church. So that's the second point. You guys get that? Okay. The next point is, you are not forgotten. And this is a crucial point, and I want you guys to pay attention to this. What does it mean, you are not forgotten? Unfortunately, sometimes in the middle of persecution, what happens is that we start telling ourselves, why all this? Where is God in all this? Why is God not interfering? Why didn't God send an earthquake to stop the killing of the 21 martyrs? Why didn't God interfere when I was trying to preach His name and nothing happened? And I got this, whatever happened to me. Why does God not interfere? So the first thing I have to remember that I am not forgotten. So in Matthew 12:5, it says what? But I will show you whom you should fear. Fear him who after has killed has power to cast out into hell. So at that point, it is a scary verse, right? Why? Like what is happening, right? But what does it mean, fear him? Can anyone share with me? What does it fear? What does it mean when I say fear him? Elaborate. What does it mean to fear God? Huh? Anyone? How does it go? Tell me. Okay. Very nice. What else? Tell me.
Because you love them out of love. Like because you love your parents and you respect them like that, you don't want to make do anything wrong. As a respect and fear kind of relationship.
Very nice. Someone in the back.
To remember him in every moment in our life.
Very nice. What else? Okay, so the idea about the fear of God is that it is the fear that comes with what? With love and peace. But if I have tribulation, or if I have a problem, and there is no God involved, and there is no peace, that fear is different than the fear with peace. That's why, like Abuna was telling us in the morning, remember how the verse that Abuna got, and he said, there will be tribulation, but be of good cheer, what? I have overcome the world. Same idea of this verse. Because right after it comes and it says fear and so on, it comes and says what? Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2, sold for 2 copper coins. Do you guys know what this parable means? Or this idea or this example means? Does anyone, what's the 5 sparrows and what's the 2 coins? Does anyone understand? Right.
I think it was a tradition that you get 2 by 1.
Mm-hmm.
The offer was like if you get 2, you get 5. You pay 1 for 2 and 1 for 2, and 1 is without a price. But if you think that you are even like that unworthy 1, this is not for God.
Yes. And by the way, the idea of sparrows, it was the cheapest food that people used to buy. It was like the very poor people. So it was sold for very, very little money. So he was saying that even when I buy 2, I give you an extra one, and the mother, right? So even the extra one that you get, it's cared for. And then he continues and says what? Right here. But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. And I think Deacon said it, I'm halfway there, but I'm getting it. But anyways, so that's point number 3. See, I have 9 more minutes for 2 more points. Look at that. Look to God and do not be distracted. Have anyone read the book C.S. Lewis, screw tapes. Some of us, who can you raise your hand if you read it? Some of us read it, right? What is the most way? So the book was about how an older devil talking to him. So anyway, so what was the most tactic that the devil, or how C.S. Lewis presented how the devil deals with us? The most one is that getting us what? Getting us distracted. Getting us concentrated on the earthly things so that we are distracted from the worldly things. So I'm going to ask you a question. Who's this? Alhamdulillah, thank the Lord. Okay, you guys are educated. Thank the Lord. Okay, so what was the biggest problem, or what was the biggest factor why St. Peter fell in the water? Huh? Tell me.
Because he got scared, because he looked away from God and he instantly started to sing after.
Very nice. The main thing, guys, let's get it. The main thing about St. Peter is that Christ came to him and told him what? Come. So he has his eyes on who? On Christ. The second St. Peter looked down, what did he see? He saw the water, he saw the storm, he saw the rain, he saw all these things, and what happened? He got distracted. And because of that, he started doing what? He started down. And that's why Christ told him what? Why did you? Exactly. So the second I remove my eyes from Christ, that's when the distraction starts coming. But as long as everything that I do in my life is directing every thought, everything that I do into Christ, through my prayers, through everything that I do, I'll always be able to focus on the real goal. And the persecution, everything that's happening around me, it's not going to matter. That's why we see during the 21 march, the story of the 21 martyrs. Have you guys ever seen the picture of one of the martyrs? He was the leader, they say. He was looking into the sky right before he gets persecuted, and he had the weirdest smile on his face. And I always look at that picture and I'm like, what is happening? Right? They're about to cut your head off. And all he's doing, he's looking up to heaven, and he's smiling. Where is that peace coming from? That peace came from that point of looking up to heaven, looking up to Christ, and leaving all the distractions behind. Because the second I start telling myself, oh, if I bring this up with this person, if I talk about the faith, if I do this, if I do that, if I tell my professor, no, if I, whatever the examples that we said, the second I distract myself with the things in the world, I lose focus. That's why the second point about this is the prayer that comes with the focus. I'll share with you a story about the importance of prayer and the importance of leaving my mind less distracted and concentrated. We'll have a story I feel you guys it's very late, so you guys are about to sleep. So the story was, I just heard it recently from one of the fathers. There was a lady that she had a sickness and she had cancer. Okay? And she was very sick at some point, and at some point, unfortunately, she passed away. Okay? After that happened, her family went and wanted to go through her stuff and pack it, put everything together. While they were doing that, they found a letter. So they opened that letter and they wanted to read what that letter was. So they opened the letter and they found that the letter was written 15 days before her departure. And that letter was written in it her story about the vision that she had. And the vision was as follows. As she, at some point, all of a sudden she had a vision that Christ is coming to her and he was holding a crown in her hands, in his hands. So at that point, that woman, she knew that her life was very basic, she was married, she lived a very normal life, she didn't do anything crazy. So as soon as Christ was coming to her, she asked him, who is this crown for? Are you taking it to the person behind you? What is this for? So Christ told her, this crown is actually for you. So she asked, why? What did I do in my life that would allow me to receive a crown? He told her, from the second you got diagnosed with this disease, you did not stop for a second to give thanks, to pray. For not for a single second, to the point that with every pain, with every treatment, with everything that she went through, not for a second she came and started blaming God. Why God? Why would you allow this? Why would you do this? But from the first second, she started giving thanks. Thank you, Lord. This is an opportunity. This is a gift that I will take because it can lead me to something great. And through that trouble that she went through, she led to that point. So at that point, why 15 days? She asked Christ, like, are you taking me now? Like, is this the time? So he told her, yeah. And then she said, actually, my kids have exams and they're going to finish in 15 days. Can I wait until those 15 days? What's happening? So that's actually what happened. So Christ told her yes, and she waited 15 days, and after 15 days, she passed away. Okay. Sorry, I'll skip this. Okay. I have 2 minutes. What do I do now? I think we're all aware of this. Loving our enemies. I'll go to the next one, which is be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. So Christ came, and that's why it's crucial to understand this verse. Why do I say that? First of all, the verse starts by, I only have a small part of it, but it says, behold, I send you out as what? As sheep. I heard it. Someone was very enough to say it. I send you out as sheep in the midst of what? Nice. Okay. You guys are still waiting. Okay. And then he says, therefore be as wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And then Christ said, I don't know why I'm holding this, but you don't answer anything. So Christ did not come and say, you will go as what? As sheep. Or you will go among wolves. But he said what? I will send you. So that means that each and every one of us is called to the service. Each and every one of us is called to serve his name and to send the good news to everyone that we encounter. But the reality is, I can't go in with an open kettle of push to listen up. I'm here to talk about Christ. You better follow or you're done. Right? Imagine kid, I as a Buddha was going to a mall or something and I say, listen, you'll probably die if you don't listen to me. Right? Imagine what would that happen. Not the smartest way of doing this. So I have to be wise. So we came and we got 2 amazing examples. The serpent and the what? And the dove. Why the serpent and the dove? Any ideas? Either you're clearly asleep or it's a very hard question, even though it's not a hard question. Tell me. Does it? I'll elaborate, give me more. What does it mean? Yes, here we go.
Serpents are characterized as being like sneaky and like having plans, right? Like in the Bible, even in Genesis, right? Like he knows stuff, right? He's trying to find ways to attack, but that stuff doesn't attack anything.
Okay, yes. So the idea about the serpent is the wisdom. It's not being naive of thinking, okay, I'll go in and do whatever I want. There has to be that wisdom. And at the same time, no matter what I do, it has to come with peace. If you're going to respond with persecution, I'm going to respond with what? With love. If you're going to respond by killing me, I'm going to respond with what? Forgiveness. Every action that comes to me, the reaction, some people say, I'll have to respond with the same reaction. But that's the idea. That's being harmless. The idea of every response that I do does not have to be the same as the reaction. So let's recap very quickly, and then I'm done. Okay? So we talked at the very beginning of, very quickly, I like to do that quickly. Okay. First to 4th century, speaker out loud. Good. 4 to 7, Sorry? Okay, heresies. 7 to 15? Okay. And then 16, 17? Okay, look at you. Okay, reformation. And then 19 to present? Oh, everything we can do. Okay. And then, oh, okay. Brother, what was the name of the book? I need to find a question. It's an interesting book, you guys should read. Okay, and then we said persecution is what? Or? Good job, okay. What are the some of the steps? I can't remember how many went, but how many steps? 7 went through 7? I didn't even read 7, but sure. What's the first one? Sorry? Expect persecution. What's the second? Huh? Do not be scared? Are you sure? Because I can't remember. I'm going to trust you on that. Okay? Good job. What's the third one? You're not forgotten. Good job. What's the fourth? Look to God and don't be distracted. Good job. The fifth one? We didn't really talk about this one, right? Yeah, we didn't talk about this one because Deacon talked about it, so I just skipped out. What's number 6? We also skipped it, but we said it very quickly. Lawyer, we look at you. You're so loud when even though I didn't talk about it. And what's the last one? Good job. Glory be to God forever.